Hello and welcome on in episode number 39 of the Wise Guys podcast. I'm John Tortorelli with my co-host Brandon Capizzello and Justin Ray. Today, this week in the NFL does not have a lot of great slates, but it does have one very good game, Chiefs versus 49ers. We're going to take a deep dive into that. Our NFL Week 7 pick'em. That's insane to say. We're already 7 weeks in the NFL season. And then we'll dive into our NBA season predictions, award winners, playoff predictions, and some of our biggest keys and takeaways from the start of the NBA season. So I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was up to 3 a.m. yesterday, or this morning, not yesterday, watching NBA basketball. And right now, my mood could not be any higher. I feel fantastic. But how you guys doing? Justin, I know your Yankees didn't do well last night.
Yeah, I'm pretty miserable right now. Yankees lose, Knicks lose. That was all I need is like my third favorite team to just complete the trifecta, and that's it. That'll be nice, right?
The 49ers?
Huh? The 49ers? No, get out of here. But we'll see, man. The Yankees play tonight. Knicks home opener tomorrow. Maybe my mood will be different come next episode.
New York, stand up.
If you're new around here, that is sarcasm from PCAP. Not
hilarious.
Not a sense of optimism. So the biggest game of the week, I mean, the slate is just not very good. It's Kansas City going to San Francisco to face off, or the Bay to face off against the 49ers. They're 2.5-point favorites. And according to BetStamp, 58% odds to win this game. 49ers are coming off of a rough loss against the Atlanta Falcons, but they are a very well-coached team. And they're going to get Nick Bosa and Trent Williams back soon. Now, will he be back for week 7 against the Chiefs? We don't know. All we know is that they return to practice. We'll see. J-Ray, my question for you is, the 49ers are 3-3. And when you look at this NFC, as is Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Seattle, Atlanta, I'm forgetting one other team. Are the 49ers going to miss the playoffs?
The Rams is who you're forgetting.
I think that's fair to forget the Rams. But yes, I still think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I had them put in my top 5. I've had them in my top 5 going into the season, and I'll still keep them there. Ugly loss to Atlanta, but in reality, Atlanta's just been playing really good football. You just got to tip your cap to the team because, like you said, they're well coached. They're riding high right now. They're going into Cincinnati, which is a very winnable game for them as well. So I'm not going to knock the Falcons. I think the 49ers are just still piecing things together. We'll see very high weeks, and then we'll see very questionable weeks out of them. But that's what you get with Jimmy G as your quarterback. That's just what happens. I still do think ultimately they'll be fine. They're at home. KC's coming to them. I think this is the makings of a really, really good football game and a potential Super Bowl rematch.
So you're picking the 49ers to win, Justin?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
With confidence.
Okay. Hell no. The Chiefs are winning this game. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are not losing back-to-back games. They're coming off a pretty disappointing loss last week against the Bills where, listen, man, you can't tell me when you were watching that game with about a minute left, Kansas City had 2 timeouts, I believe, that you weren't a little nervous that Patrick Mahomes was going to go down the field and score a touchdown to end the game.
I mean, but that's a given.
I know, but that's all I'm saying, though, is that, that could have happened. Now, he made a blunder. Patrick Mahomes has made those before of just throwing a bad pass, trying too much, trying to be a little too cute. But that's fine. I have full faith that Mahomes will get that corrected and him and Andy Reid will clean those mistakes up. I'm taking Kansas City this week because I don't think they're going to lose back-to-back games. So for me, I mean, it's going to come down to, because I think Kansas City is going to be able to score on this defense. I know it's one of the best defenses in the league, but so is the Bills. It's going to be interesting to see if Kansas City's defense can play as well as they did last week against Josh Allen this week against Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers offense. So yeah, I'm gonna take Kansas City. I think it's gonna be, I'd probably say maybe 27-24 Kansas City, but I just don't see Patrick Mahomes dropping 2 back-to-back games.
It's very fair. If Nick Bosa plays this week, 49ers are winning. If he doesn't, I don't think so. There's a lot of other players that are questionable for this game, including, or among them are Mike McGlinchey, right tackle, Samson Ebukam, left defensive end, Eric Armstead, Bosa, Jadarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, and Jimmy Ward. I think in that secondary, they'll have a couple of those guys back or just playing. With this Chiefs defense, what it's underrated for, its ability to stop the run. This year, they're only giving up 4 yards per carry. If they can make San Francisco one-dimensional, they can kind of take the run off the menu like last week. Then it's just Jimmy Garoppolo going up against Patrick Mahomes. And for as much as Brandon Ayuk was awesome last week with Samuel and George Kittle, I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this game. But in the event Nick Bosa plays, he has been playing an absolute defensive player of the year level this year. No questions asked. I got my money on the 49ers. It should be a very good game. And it's 4 o'clock. I wish it was, I'll be honest, even as a Steeler fan, I do wish it was primetime. The stupid light is ruining my vibe right now. So yeah, I got the 49ers if Bosa plays, but the Chiefs if he doesn't.
You know, I think for the 49ers, the key is really just getting off to a good start. You can't fall behind 14-0 like you did to Atlanta, because at that point, you're playing catch up, you know, and playing catch up with Jimmy G at QB isn't a recipe for success. You want to use your run game. San Francisco's game is reliant on their run game. Jeff Wilson getting 7 carries, that's not going to cut it. You got to start fast. The defense has to play good football. You got to hold these guys. I think they will. I think they're up to the task. Like I said, 49ers are legit to me, and they'll prove it to Mr. Brandon over here this Sunday.
Well, Justin, that's really the difference between last week against the Falcons, where Jeff Wilson 7 for 25, and the week before against Carolina and that Vaughn's defense, where he has 17 rushes, 120 yards, and a touchdown. It does stink with all their injuries in the backfield, but we know with Kyle Shanahan, he can turn all of these backs together and just pick up yardage either way.
Yeah, I'm expecting the game plan to be it's going to lean towards mistake-free football. Jimmy G is not going to be allowed to throw the ball into trouble. Just take what the defense gives you. It'll be a dink and dunk kind of game for him. Patrick Mahomes may air it out a couple times, but yeah, I could see that being how this game goes for Jimmy.
Now I got a question for you, J-Ray. Between the team I forgot before and the Rams, the Packers, Buccaneers, the 49ers, coming into the season, those were the top 4 teams in the NFC. And we all know that one of them is going to miss the playoffs, realistically, with the level some of these teams are playing at. Which of those 4 is out?
That's tough. I mean, I would have to look at schedules, but off the bat, just in my mind, I would have to say Green Bay. I don't think I recall. I would have to do my research, but a team losing to both the Jets and the Giants in the same season over the last 10 years, that's pretty low. Maybe these 2 New York teams are just very good, or the Packers are just really not there this year. And I think we can all see it without Devontae Adams in the fold. This team doesn't look the same. Doesn't look the same one bit. So I guess I'm going to have to go with Green Bay, because I still do believe in Sean McVay. I do think they have so much talent on that team. It's kind of hard to believe the Rams aren't going to make the playoffs. I think the Bucs are a lock because of the division they're in. Yeah, so I guess I'd have to go Green Bay.
I just want to point something out to both of you guys, because I didn't know this until about a couple days ago when I got actually a Snapchat memory of me in 2016 watching an episode of Undisputed, and Shannon Sharp talking about how I think it was in week 6 as well, talking about how Aaron Rodgers was like last in passer rating, last in completion percentage, last in yards and whatever like that. And then I said, oh, this is really interesting, because this is kind of, you know, starting to ring similar to what's happening today, right? So I went back to the 2016 schedule and I looked at it. And did you guys know in 2016, through the first 6 well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-2, right? Then they went on a 4-game losing streak to go 4-6 to start the season. So they were 4-6. Then they won out. I don't know if you guys remember this year. It's kind of it probably rings vague in your head of Aaron Rodgers going and winning out, because that vaguely I remember him winning out in the last 6 games to go 10-6, and they made the playoffs and actually got all the way to the NFC Championship game where they lost to Atlanta 44-21. So I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on Green Bay, because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to figure it out. Now, what I do not like is how Aaron Rodgers in the press conference is saying, we need to make this offense simpler. And then Matt LaFleur later on being asked about that, and he says he has no idea what Aaron Rodgers is talking about or what he means by that. That just is not good, that your quarterback and your head coach are not on the same page, like at all. So that needs to be figured out. But I think Rodgers is going to be able to figure it out. I think they're going to be able to sneak into the playoffs. And I'm not 100% sold, like I told John in our last episode, that I'm not sold on the Vikings yet. We've seen Kirk Cousins fall apart. We see it happen. I'm not fully sold on this team yet. So out of those teams to make the playoffs, honestly, right now as we currently sit, I can't say any of those four teams are going to miss the playoffs.
Right now, there's only one great team in the NFC, and that's Philadelphia. Dallas, to me, is not a contender because of their coach at large. They're the second best team right now in that conference.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco's been dealing with the injuries. They can climb and definitely pass up Dallas. After that, the Vikings, they're a good team, BCAP. One thing I've heard people say, and I agree with this, is that they always play to the level of their competition, for good or for worse, so long as it's not prime time, of course. Those are the top 4 teams in this NFC: Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco, and Minnesota. So I'm not worried about the 49ers. They get back their 2 best players who have been missing. Trent Williams is maybe the top 3, top 5 player in football a year ago. So for me, the pick would be Green Bay. And honestly, I think at this point, if they don't play well against the Commanders this week, it's time to ring the alarm bells. They should have traded Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
When you look at...
go ahead. Were you going to say something about the schedule?
No, when you look at the Russell Wilson return.
Mm-hmm. So I was looking at the schedule. I know you asked me this, and I didn't know the schedules offhand. And looking at every game that Green Bay has played this year, outside of the one against the Bears, none of them have been a walk in the park. You know, every now and then, if you're a really good team, if I go to the Bucs, if I go to the Rams, if I go to the Niners, all those 3-3 teams, I'm going to see one game where they absolutely blew the doors off of somebody, or even 2. And I'm looking at this Green Bay schedule, and none of it was easy. So they got the commies this week, then the Bills, the Lions, then the Cowboys, the Titans, Eagles. That's no walk in the park. The Titans have proven to be tougher than what we all thought they'd be going into the season. The Lions can still score at will. I don't know. And the Bills, come on. So it's really not looking great for the Green Bay Packers. These are going to be, if they're going to get to the playoffs, it's going to take everybody. Those receivers are going to have to step up. Christian Watson is going to have to he's going to have to develop a little faster than what most rookie receivers do. So, yeah, it's time to wake up now, because if they keep playing this way, this season will end very fast.
And you know what, Jay Ray? The issue in Green Bay is after trading Devontae Adams, they don't have an identity. Brandon talks about the lack of accountability. The coaching this year has been below average. Defensively, this team in the draft had 2 first-round picks, 2 of them. They used them both on that side of the ball. And right now, this is 14th best defense in football, with Jair Alexander coming back from injury, Rashawn Gary playing at an all-pro level, and many other very good players. Kenny Clark, you know the deal. I know that the linebacker, Devondre Campbell, has regressed this year, but the Quay Walker draft pick to me was a developmental prospect. Not the type of guy like George Pickens who could come in right away. And Pickens with Aaron Rodgers being a 1,000-yard guy, no questions asked. He's Mr. Reliable for the Steelers offense. And in terms of running the football, this team deviates from it far too early. I don't know if it's the backs and or the offensive line not playing anywhere near the type of performance they've had in the past, but this Green Bay team is a sinking ship. And I would much rather be watching Jordan Love right now with the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, because he is the story of their problems right there. It's the fact they have a stubborn veteran who doesn't want to lead, is struggling to make throws, and simply just didn't look like he wanted to be out there last week against the Jets. I watched the game again. He gets hit. He's like, oh, I'm not feeling this too well. And, he doesn't have an elite offensive line. They've been struggling at the tackle spots. And this right here is tough sledding from this point out. Not great.
Nothing else to say about that.
So now we're done with them.
Yep.
Maybe we'll talk about them in a couple more minutes. We are going to be moving on to our NFL Pick'em Week 7 edition. Tonight, we got Thursday Night Football. The Arizona Cardinals are going to have the New Orleans Saints coming. Is it a home game for them? No, the Saints are coming to Arizona. My apologies. And right now, the Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites. New Orleans has just been beaten and battered this year by injuries. No Marshawn Lattimore, no Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. I'm going to look further into the injury report right now. We don't even know who their starting quarterback is going to be, which is pretty hard to evaluate if you want to bet on this game. This is not the type of game I would want to put any money on. But for the time being, I'm rolling my money with the Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins comes into the lineup, Marquise Brown out, but Robbie Anderson in as well. Of course, they traded for Robbie Anderson. Why wouldn't they? And this is the type of team that just is going to Arizona, you would think everything as well with the Kyler Murray extension, Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim getting their new contracts. But this is a 2-4 football team. They're not good. Defensively, it's one of the worst. And offensively, Kyler Murray is limited and not much of a leader. The weapons are good. But right now in Arizona, this is one of, if not the worst situations in football.
Yeah. So literally while you were just talking there, John, I went on to our NFL Pick'em, the Yahoo what would you call it? Group that we're in and I just changed my pick from New Orleans. I picked New Orleans and I just changed it to Arizona because too many injuries on New Orleans. D-Hop's coming back. So I just think, and it's in Arizona. I just think Arizona's going to be able to pull it off. But I can't agree with you more. Listen, I was trying to think how to explain Kyler Murray, right? Because I've just watching him play. It doesn't look like a pro football quarterback. He really doesn't. And I was, obviously I was on TikTok and I was just scrolling whatever, right? And then a LaShawn McCoy video came up of LaShawn basically saying Kyler Murray plays like a high school quarterback. He plays like a high school quarterback out there. And all that stuff he's doing, running around, whatever, creating these insane plays, that's cute and all, but in reality, and I said this after that big win that they had against, was it Vegas, I think, were the final second win. I said this the next day when we talked about it. I said, yeah, that's cute and all, but guess what? That's not going to win you multiple games. That's not a winning formula. Him running around freaking 100 yards and then throwing the football or running in for a touchdown. It's not going to work. So it just rang true when I heard Shady say that, and I can't agree more. He doesn't play like a professional quarterback in the NFL. And I don't know if it's his coaches. I don't know if it's him being too stubborn and not wanting to learn, but I don't think it's going to work. Listen, this kid's got insane talent. That is undeniable. But he just doesn't play professional quarterback. So, but I'll take Arizona this week, but yeah.
It's really the scheme that he plays in because of who he is and the character. An air raid offense. It's not the Tom Brady method, working your way down the field slowly and methodically. And that's what you're so used to as a Patriot fan. With this Cardinals offense, it's big plays, highlights, a little bit like what we're seeing now in Justin Fields in Chicago, but this Arizona offense is light years ahead. What they're trying to do is just make Kyler comfortable. He's been running this style of offense since he was in high school, B-Cap. Shady McCoy is a great listen. Pittsburgh finest. I think he's not from Pittsburgh, but he went to Pitt. But yeah, man, it's just the scheme, and really because of Kyler. And I think Cliff Kingsbury this year has done not a terrible job because of what he's working with. But I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to fix much of this. I am invested, though. I got him in some fantasy leagues, so we'll see.
I'm excited to see D-Hop back on the field. I said in the beginning of the year, I trashed the Arizona Cardinals, and I was like, without D-Hop, if they don't get off to a decent start, their season's going to end very, very quickly. And looking at the NFC West, nobody has ran away with the division. The Cardinals are sitting 2-4, the top of the division. The top two teams are 3-3. I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals are going to win this division, but they're getting D-Hop back at the right time. They're still in it. So I'm going to roll with the Cardinals. I think D-Hop's going to make an instant impact and show the world why he's still a number one receiver. And when he's at the top of his game, he's a top 10 receiver in football. And just as recently, I'll go as far as what Brandon's saying, top 5. So I'm going to roll with Arizona today.
I got nothing else to that game. Next up, the Falcons are going to Cincinnati.
Who that? Who they say gonna beat the Bengals?
The Falcons. That's who's gonna beat the Bengals.
Messed up, bro.
So I'm on the BetStamp app right now, and the Bengals are 72% favorites this week. Are you sure about that? With the way this Falcon unit is playing right now, even with Cordell Patterson on IR, they're going to run the snot out of the football. They have weapons on the outside to make plays. And Marcus Mariota is just running this offense very well. He has experience doing such. And really, Arthur Smith is one of the better coaches in football. I can say what I want about Kyle Pitts, maybe not getting going the same way a lot of those other 2021 skill position players are. But I got the Falcons taking this one this week, and they're 6.5-point underdogs. I get they're on the road, but that one surprises me. The Bengals this year have not been world beaters. I think even against the Cincinnati defense, the Atlanta Falcons are going to be able to get going early. They're going to put points on the board. And I think for this Bengals secondary, they can give up a couple of big-time plays, whether it's to Drake London, Pitts, or even the other big receiver, whatever the heck his name is. I got the Falcons taking this one this week. That's what's going to lead us to our sponsor for this episode, BetStamp. If you're getting into sports betting, one of the best ways to feel comfortable is by knowing the market. It's the most important thing than anything. And with BetStamp, they'll give you all the sports books that you want in one single place. All you have to do is sign up, download the app first, and use our referral code at WiseGuys, WISEGUYS to get started today. Join us in the BetStamp app. We'll be posting more of our picks on our social media accounts so that you can stay up to date with the latest. And most of all, the app is free. Give it a shot. Let us know what you think. I'm new into sports betting. I want to be, familiarized with what the market is. And this right here truly is one of the best ways to do it. So thing one and thing two, what are your guys' picks?
Okay. When it goes with Cincinnati, I'll be honest with you, this past week, I think we finally saw the best version of them on offense. I think we saw the best version of Joe Burrow. And obviously, Jamar Chase is going to be Jamar Chase, but they looked good moving the football. And I remember earlier in the season, Brandon thought, I think it was the game against the Jets, that was the game that they were going to start to take off. I think this is the game that starts to get them to take off. After doing that offensive showdown with the Saints, I think they're going to come into this week. I'm a believer in the Falcons, and I'm with you, John. What were the Falcons? Plus 6.5. That's a bet that I would take, but I do think ultimately Cincinnati comes out on the top here, and I think Joe Burrow just keeps shredding, man. I really do.
Well, listen, I think Cincinnati is going to win. I think they got to win. Listen, they're playing for something much more than Atlanta's playing for. Atlanta's really more of the team that will spoil things for other teams. So Cincinnati's just got to be weary of that, and they've just got to go in there, tunnel vision, not take these guys lightly, do their jobs, play smart football, get the job done. I mean, this really shouldn't be an issue. This really shouldn't be a game like that we're like, oh, the Falcons have a chance to win. It really shouldn't. So the Bengals need to go in there and they need to take care of business. But yeah, I have Cincinnati taking it.
I don't know, BCAP. The Bengals are a better coach team. Defensively, they have a few key playmakers in AJ Terrell, Grady Jarrett, and some young, good, talented players. I think the Falcons are going to cover at the very least, even if they don't win this game. Looking at the Bengals matchups this year, outside of the Jets game and the Dolphins matchup, they've all been really close, all within 3 points. And I think Joe Burrow, he hasn't been his best this year either. So when talking about Zach Taylor's play calling, it's been a detriment. That's not going to change this week. Whereas the guy on the other side of the football, this has been better, straightforward.
Can't argue.
So our next game is, sorry, I'm rolling between the BetStamp and the Yahoo Sports app, is the Detroit Lions at 1-4 going into Dallas at 1 o'clock. Now, the biggest story with this game will be Dallas's quarterback and number 4, Dak Prescott.
Dak is back.
He's officially
I'm taking
back.
the Cowboys. Let's put that out there. I'm taking the Cowboys. All right. Dak is back. He's coming back. He's been ready basically since like last week. So he's good.
Full participant in practice, but it hasn't been decided yet.
No, he's come. Trust me. He'll be there. He'll be suited up 1 o'clock afternoon in Dallas. He'll be suited up, ready to go. And listen, we know about this Lions defense. It's one of the worst in the league. So I think this is a perfect game for Dak to come back. Not a tough game, not a tough defense. He can shake off any rust that he has, any mistakes that he's probably going to make. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns the football over just because he's got to get, back used to playing real time and fast football. But I just see this Cowboys team beating them. I think they're going to be able to run the football all over this Detroit defense. Zeke looked really good last week. Tony Pollard has still got those electric plays. And give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Cowboys too, but more so because I don't believe Detroit can hang with some top tier defenses. That's why. I think Jared Goff is exposed when he plays elite defenses. We saw it against New England. They were shut out. So I think Dallas's defense is scary. Micah Parsons is going to eat them up. And yeah, quarterback, I think they can go another week without Dak here. I think last week they were a Dak away from probably beating the Eagles. So this week, I see them winning, no problem. I got the Cowboys winning by probably a lot.
How about them Cowboys?
What the Dallas Cowboys are a great regular season team that can't contend with the best. The reason why is straightforward. Good, but not great quarterback. Below average, and certainly flawed head coach. In the regular season, though, we all know what a top 3 defense can do for you. And an offense that runs the football well, has very dynamic weapons, though CeeDee Lamb hasn't been as good as we would hope, and most of all has continuity. Dak Prescott's returning from the thumb injury. He's going to be an immediate upgrade over Cooper Rush. We all know Cooper Rush is a good backup. Dak is about 2 levels above, and I'm expecting the Cowboys, with their incoming slate of games, they're going to win 11 or 12 games, and they're going to be the top wild card in the NFL this year. We'll see if they can win a playoff game, but I got the Cowboys easily today. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts, the most important game, I think, of the week in terms of what this is going to mean for playoff implications. In Tennessee, I think the Titans win this game. Colts are coming off a very high game winner against a Jaguars team that is flawed, whereas the Titans just had a bye week. They're well rested. And truth be told, I don't see this offensive line continuing to do what they did last week for Matt Ryan, and that was keeping that guy off of the ground. When you're hitting him and he's fallen, this Colts offense is very flawed. But when he is upright, they have so many weapons. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce from Cincinnati has been really good this year. One of the better receivers, without a doubt. As a second-round pick, pretty huge for them. They needed that number 2. And meanwhile, Paris Campbell last week got into the end zone, 7 receptions. He has been healthy. By miracle, 7 weeks of the season at large. And then at tight end, you have many dynamic weapons. But there's just something about this Titans group, coaching, defense, and Derrick Henry, that makes me say, give me Tennessee.
Yeah, the Colts have won their last 2 games by the skin of their teeth. They have been lucky to escape with 2 victories there. I'm not on the Colts train this week. I'm going to ride with the Titans at home. I think Derrick Henry goes crazy. I think the Titans have a good ball game here. I think the Colts just don't have the firepower to keep up at some points. And if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, this is an L.
That's a big one if Jonathan Taylor. I'm expecting Jonathan Taylor to play, and that's why I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. I think like John said, I think this is a huge game for division implications and playoff implications later on in the season. So I think the Colts need to steal this one. so they can take firm control of the number one place in their division and be about, what would they be, a game ahead? Yeah, they'd be a full game ahead of Tennessee. You got to win this game. They were able to bounce back against Jacksonville and win their game against them. The second one, so give me Indianapolis. I think they have to win this game if they want to, have a good set to the future of the season.
I think the Colts are going to make the playoffs by their skin of their teeth, and perhaps they're a new quarterback next year. I don't want to go off into a side tangent here, but when you talk about teams with no continuity at quarterback, the Colts are in some really ugly company. Denver, Carolina, and Washington. That is not the group of teams you want to be linked into. Denver right now has their own issues with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. The Commanders are the Commanders, and the Panthers have been a disaster for the better part of the last decade. And for the Colts, I just don't know if Matt Ryan's the guy after this year at 37. I think he's a fair starting quarterback that, quite frankly, is not going to overcome a lot of the weaknesses and inconsistencies of this offense. But moving on to our next squad, and the Green Bay Packers going to Washington. I said last week, give me these Packers versus the Jets, but I can't trust them just yet. This Commanders team is skating on ice right now. Ron Rivera is backtracking on all of his statements the last 3 weeks, and Carson Wentz had his worst game of the season so far.
He's out.
And he is out. Yeah. Sam Howell is in. Thank you for
Taylor Heineke.
Sam Howell. Okay, yeah, that's a great point. Taylor Heineke versus Green Bay. This is going to be a close game, and currently the line is set at 4.5. Green Bay. I think Washington covers this one. I think it'll be a 3-point game down to the wire in the fourth quarter. This Packers team has a lot of issues, even special teams we're seeing after signing or hiring Rich Bisaccia. Give me the Packers winning, but I do think Washington covers.
Yeah, listen, I mean, Giants have had a tough, not the Giants, sorry. The Packers have had a tough go the last 4 weeks, basically. I mean, playing 4 pretty damn good defenses in the Buccaneers. Well, the Buccaneers haven't looked good the last couple of weeks, but at the time, the Buccaneers, the Patriots, Giants, and Jets. So now they're getting a little bit of an easier game against the Commanders before they go into Buffalo next week, and then they, pick back up again against the elite teams. They got to win this game. Packers have to win this game. Aaron Rodgers needs to get back on track. This is a must win because, like I said, you're going into Buffalo next week, and you need to, come in there with a win, with a little more confidence in yourself. Because if you're going in there losing 3 straight, and that's another thing, I don't know the record or the history of that stat. I would imagine when the game's on, they'll bring it up on commentary of how many times Aaron Rodgers has lost 3 straight games. It's probably happened once. I was talking to John and Justin. Or no, I mentioned it on there to you guys just like 20 minutes ago, whatever, of him losing the 4 straight games or 5 straight games. So there's one for Aaron Rodgers that he's done that. I don't know how many other times he's done that in his career where he's lost 3 or more straight. I can't see Rodgers losing 3 straight games this year. So gotta give me Green Bay. They have to win this game against Washington, especially with Taylor Heineke. And I know he provides a spark for this team. They love him. They love playing with him. But Aaron Rodgers got to come out and they got to win this game. I think they have to win big.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Brandon. I'm gonna roll with the Packers here. I think -4.5 is another bet that if you're trying to hammer home to make some money, I think I would take that any day. I think this is gonna come down to who's gonna throw you into trouble, and it's definitely not gonna be Aaron Rodgers. So I think Rodgers is gonna lead this team to victory, and I do think they win by, I'd say, double figures.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good this year. I don't know. I don't think he's going to convincingly.
Yeah, but Washington hasn't been great either. I haven't seen a more inconsistent team than them. So I gotta, like I said, I'm sticking with the Packers. I don't think Washington is any good. I had them finishing last in the division preseason, and rightfully so. So I'm gonna roll the Packers by a lot.
Yeah, but you would think with this team being 2-4, this is the other side of the seesaw. So if they're inconsistent, this will be one of their better weeks. They can get to the quarterback, man. No Chase Young yet, but in terms of all those draft picks they've invested, it's a good defensive front. They're going to hit Rodgers. And last week, he didn't like getting hit, man. Did not at all. When is Chase Young coming back?
Who knows?
Later this week, he is expected to have a follow-up. I mean, I would take my time with him because he's precious goods for a team with nothing at stake this season. So next game of the week is the Ravens hosting. Did I make a mistake here?
I thought it was Tampa versus Carolina.
Well, I'll get to that. I had this game first on my slate. Ravens hosting the Browns. The Browns are 6.5-point underdogs. This is my favorite bet of the week. These are two teams with defenses that have underperformed very much this year. But there's one thing they have in common, and it's that they can run the football as well as anybody. Cleveland this year, even after a rough week against the Patriots, ranks number 1 in the NFL with 172 rushing yards a game. Baltimore 6th with 155. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than what we've seen from them in past weeks. I've got the Browns taking this one, tying these two teams up at 3-4. And this AFC North, man, it's going to be wide open for my Pittsburgh Steelers to have a chance.
I got to take the Ravens. Yeah, Lamar's got to start playing better. I read you off those stats in our last episode, John, of him in the fourth quarter, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, I think a 28 QBR. And what's even more alarming is that in the fourth quarter this year, the Ravens are a -42 in point differential. So they're getting torn to shreds in the fourth quarter. This team cannot close, but I think this is a divisional game. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a physical game. I'm going to take the Ravens. I think it might come down to like maybe a final drive where Lamar has to drive down the field, and I think he's going to be able to get it done. So give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens here. We haven't seen MVP Lamar for about 3 weeks now. He started off the first 3 weeks insanely hot, and we haven't seen that version of him yet still now over the last 3. But I'm going to roll with the Ravens. It's a big divisional game. It's at home. I think they have to win this game. I think John's just picking against them because he just wants to believe the Steelers have a chance at winning the division. But I'm going to roll with the Ravens here. I think they got this one. It'll be close, though. It'll be a dogfight.
I do think Cleveland will cover pretty easily. Now, as you guys had, Buccaneers are going to Carolina this week. The Panthers, they have an interim head coach in Steve Wilkes, and their season's over. Just trade Robbie Anderson. We're in it for about a couple of drives against the Rams on last Sunday. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to actually dominate this team in a way that we haven't seen in recent weeks. The Panthers, PJ Walker, this is an ugly matchup, and Tampa Bay is going to look to take the ring around somebody. Unfortunately, it's the worst team in football.
Listen. Tampa Bay, y'all better go out there and cover -11. Y'all better go out there and beat this team by 2 touchdowns at least, at bare minimum. Defense needs to show the hell up. They've been playing like garbage the last couple of weeks. All right, Todd Bowles, what are we doing? We need to coach these boys up more. I don't know what's going on. This is supposed to be a top 5 defense. They've been playing like bottom half of the league for the last couple of weeks. Time to get it going. You don't let Mitchell Trubisky convert 2 3rd and longs late in the fourth quarter to end the game last week. That does not happen against this vaunted Buccaneers defense. I have full faith that Tom is going to be able to figure this out on the offensive end. Listen, I do have a little concern with Chris Godwin because he doesn't look like the same, and that's to be expected. We should have expected that because he's coming off a torn ACL, and like everybody says, and like I say, it takes at least a year for you to really get back to what you were before. Still got Mike Evans. I think the Bucs actually might need to start calling around and make it a move for maybe a tight end or another receiver to get in there, because obviously Chris Godwin's not going to be back to 100% this year, and they need a guy for Tom to really, work that middle of the field a lot more, because I thought Cameron Brate was going to be a solid option. It just has not worked out. So yeah, give me the Bucs. They have to dominate. Hopefully the O-line plays better. But yeah, the Bucs, I think, need to go make a couple moves. I think they should call Todd Gurley's phone, bring him in. He's a good receiving back. He's a veteran back. He can take some carries off of Leonard Fournette. He's not going to blow your socks off, but he can catch the ball and whatnot, which is what the Bucks need really. And I think they need to make a couple calls for maybe a tight end or a slot receiver to pick up the slack in the receiving game. Uh-huh. I didn't say that. I just said he's going to provide a receiving back and he can take a little bit of a load off Leonard Fournette. I'm not saying bring in Todd Gurley, he's going to be the savior. I'm saying they literally have Leonard Fournette and then this other kid, I think Rashad White or whatever. Yeah, he's all right, but like I trust. Listen, Todd Gurley's going to come in there. He can catch the ball a little bit, catch some screen passes, make some big plays here and there. He's not completely washed. He can be a backup running back. Yeah, but in Tampa.
Yeah, listen, last week I thought that Tampa was going to do what Buffalo did to Pittsburgh, and I was completely surprised. I mean, literally, I placed a bet, I had a ticket on it. I was praying the Bucks were going to cover, and they just lost, and I was disappointed by it. But this week, if there's any week to bounce back, it's against Carolina. It's a divisional opponent. You're the big brother in the division. It's time to put the little brother down and start bullying him. I think Tampa wins by double digits. I think they actually do cover this week. Tom Brady shows out, and the rest is history. And then they keep moving and they start to cruise.
By the way, Tom Brady can yell at whoever the hell he damn well pleases because he's a 7-time world champion. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. So, and he's the greatest leader of all time. So everybody's saying like, oh, I'd put hands on Tom Brady if he yelled at me like that. Sit down, because no, you wouldn't. Because if you did, you'd be kicked off the team, fined, suspended, and blackballed probably. So let's just relax, guys.
Tom Brady defender over here. No, I'm fine. Yeah, that was that
7-time champion. It works. Trust me.
We'll see. Okay, so we got the Giants.
His career is done. What do you mean we'll see? It's acting like this guy's got another 20 years in him. We'll see.
The Giants are going to not Jacksonville, where they are 3.5-point underdogs. I have the Jaguars actually covering this spread. I think Trevor Lawrence, he was very good last week, 2 rushing touchdowns, only 2 incompletions. He played a good football game, and he was getting back on track. Trev is already one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He is in that discussion of Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. He's established himself as this guy in Jacksonville. And I think the Giants, look, I bet against them in past weeks, but I just don't see it continuing this week. With their defense being good, I don't know if they can actually sustain the level of play they have in recent weeks. So give me the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jags too. I think the Jags have had a couple disappointing losses in a row. They haven't played as well they did to kick off the season. Trevor Lawrence played phenomenal last week. I know he didn't have a lot of passing yards, but only 2 incompletions. And like John said, 2 rushing touchdowns. Look at the receivers he's got to work with, and look at the receivers that like a Jalen Hurts, John said, or Kirk Cousins or Tua Tagovailoa. Look at what they're throwing to, and look at what Trevor Lawrence is throwing to right now. Come on, you can't tell me that this guy is making
Are you saying Zay Jones and Christian Kirk is not enough?
That's exactly what I'm saying, John. They are not enough. They are, I mean, let's be honest. Kirk, low end number 2, Zay Jones, number 3. These guys ain't going to get the job done for Trevor Lawrence. But I think they're going to be able to beat the Giants this week. It's in Jacksonville. The defense is playing very well. So give me Jacksonville. I think that they stop this Giants hype for a week.
This line kind of gets me mad. I've been high on Jacksonville all year. I've been the leader of the pack for our show when it comes to Jacksonville. But this is the first time I'm going to go against this one, and I'm going to pick the Giants to win. I think it's nuts to have the Giants as underdogs this week after just beating former MVP Lamar Jackson and the whole future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers in back-to-back weeks. I think it's kind of nuts.
Coming back from 2 scores in both of those games.
So I do think this line is kind of nuts. And that's exactly why this is my favorite bet of the week. Giants +3 going into Jacksonville. I think there's a good chance that they might win that they will win this football game. I'm taking them to win without a doubt. We talk about weapons. Brandon, you said who Trevor Lawrence is throwing to. Let's look at who Daniel Jones is throwing to, and they're 5-1, So that's just a shout out to Brian Daboll. What a year he's having. I think he's already an instant lock for possibly coach of the year, the way this Giants team is playing. And I think they just keep on rolling. Honestly, sitting here at this moment, the Giants are going to the playoffs.
They're making over then one of the Rams, Packers, or Niners.
Yeah, it's going to be over somebody because they got Jacksonville here. I think they're going to win. They got the Seahawks next. I think they're going to win. The Texans, then the Lions. I'm saying, man, I get the whole strength of schedule thing. So we're going to have to look at that schedule, and it's very, very favorable towards the Giants. And I think they're going to show you guys, man, New York football is ready to go right now.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy because we talk about top 4 teams in the NFC. I mean, the Buccaneers, Packers, and Rams, I mean, it really is unbelievable they could all be playing in the wild card. But one more thing for this game. 2 top 10 defenses, 2 top 5 running games, Giants top 5. The difference is Trevor Lawrence. That guy is him, at the very least. And he's going to have a very good week against the Giants defense. Next game up, Jets going to Denver. Russell Wilson sustained a hamstring injury on Monday Night Football. Russ, he's not cooking. He looks more so like he is cooked. And this Broncos offense is just, you would think it would be the better part of this team, but it has not been so far this year with an offensive-oriented head coach coming in. Give me the Jets. This Broncos team, they have many years to figure this out, fortunately, with Russell Wilson. That's the good news. But for the time being, this Jets defense is top 5, top 10. It's only getting better. The running game is better than Denver's. And most of all right now, Russell Wilson's playing like Zach Wilson. I mean, that's an issue. Zach's in his second season coming off of an MCL sprain. Russ, this was the worst move of the offseason. And Seahawks fans, I think they're very happy with the return.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Jets here. And it's crazy to say this, but I didn't think that they were going to be this good. I know in the beginning of the season when we were talking about our predictions going into the year, I did have the Jets finishing last in the AFC, but in the AFC East. But I also did say there were pieces there and that they're going to be very successful in the near future. It may not be this year, but they have the pieces to succeed. I think this is a little is moving a little too faster than they expected. I was listening to Robert Saleh being interviewed, and Michael Kay on ESPN had asked him, do we have to look at the Jets differently now? Coming off of those wins. And he had the perfect answer that a head coach should say. And he said, that's for you guys to decide. So I'm going to decide for him and say, yeah, the Jets are ahead of schedule and they're better than what we think they are. Breece Hall is an absolute monster. He is a monster. Michael Carter is also a hell of a back. That duo is dangerous. I think Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, I think they're going to be a very good wide receiver duo in the near future. I still think they need to open up the playbook a little bit just so we could see what Zach Wilson has, but he has the talent. The arm talent is there. And I do think the Jets find a way to beat the Broncos here. I think the Broncos are not a good football team right now. I think their heads are hanging low and they're going to stay low after they lose to the Jets at home.
No. Listen, everybody hyping the Jets up. It's going to come crashing down by the end of the season, and I'll be proven right. I'm going to take Denver. I'm going to take them in a close game. I think this is going to be a defense-oriented game. Both defenses are very good. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to which quarterback do I trust more, Zach Wilson or Russell Wilson? No. Obviously, Russell Wilson has been playing like garbage. I cannot debate that. But when push comes to shove, I will take Russ over Zach Wilson. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game, a close game, like maybe 14-10 or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to take Denver. I think being in Mile High, well, obviously these fans are booing. They still get raucous, at least for the first half of the game. Maybe they'll let them down the second half, but I think Denver's going to be able to pull it out, mostly because I really, really, really trust that defense.
Could you imagine trading 5 draft picks and paying $245 million to a quarterback that had the 32nd best offense in football? Worse than the Chicago Bears? The Bears aren't investing all of that into their guys.
This is a fireable offense, you would think. Nathaniel Hackett is gone after this season.
Yes.
Nathaniel Hackett was hired to lure Aaron Rodgers to Denver. And that's exactly why I say Aaron Rodgers would have been right for this team. Not the solution, because I don't think Rodgers can just take you to the highest levels by himself. But Rodgers is much better than Wilson. He has been. And most of all, that was really the only reason Hackett was qualified. I mean, what was he doing? This is basically Adam Gase 2.0 in my eyes. And when you pair that with a quarterback who's banged up, he's trying to build a connection, but doesn't have a good offensive line, loses his left tackle. The receivers were overrated. Jerry Jeudy is very talented, but he has not put that all together. He has had some good moments. After him, Courtland Sutton is a fine number 2, but those two are not going to take you over the top when your offense is this limited. And the injuries don't help. So on to next year for the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry to all their fans out there. Next game up, we were going to talk about NBA in this episode, but I think we'll move it on to another series of episodes. We have the Texans going to the Raiders. Give me Vegas. Not really that much to discuss, I think.
Yeah, Vegas should win. They are probably the most talented 1-4 team of all time. Yeah.
So you guys are all rolling with Vegas? You know I'm not. I'm actually going to roll with Houston this week. Call me crazy, man. Maybe I am.
You are crazy. You are a psychopath.
But I don't think it's that far-fetched to say that they'll win this football game. Houston wasn't that far away from beating the Chargers. They could have beaten the Bears. They should have beaten the Broncos. I don't see why it's that far-fetched to believe that they can walk into Vegas and win. I'm going to roll with Houston this week.
BCAP can say what he wants. This Texas team is built on the back of Dameon Pierce. And right now, he's the offensive rookie of the year. They're going to take care of the football, limit mistakes, and pound this rock inside. So to say that they can't win this game would be a massive.
Bro, you just sat there and said, I'm picking the Raiders, and there's nothing else to talk about.
But there's a pathway to the Texans winning this game.
My God. All right, move on. Who cares?
Well, I mean, you could take Houston +7 then, right? Wouldn't you say this should be a close game?
I think Vegas' offense is too volatile.
It shouldn't be.
But it will.
Okay. That's just more of an indictment on the Raiders being not that good.
We'll see. So we got the Seattle Seahawks moving to Los Angeles. Chargers are now 4-2. Seattle is 3-3, and I think a lot of people would have had them 1-5 at this point. Dude, Justin Herbert has been so good this year that even with everyone being out around him, his team's been able to win games. 37 completions last week without Keenan Allen, banged up O-line. Give me Justin Herbert again.
I think I'm going to have another upset here, and I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think the Chargers have not looked impressive whatsoever. I'm not seeing what the MVP Justin Herbert or those dominant Chargers that I was expecting to see going into the season. I get they're 4-2, but they almost lost to the Broncos last week. They almost lost to the Browns. And like I said, they almost lost to the Texans. Seattle's offense has been flying high. I know they cooled down just a little bit, but I still believe that Geno Smith could lead this team to victory over the Chargers. Just catch them sleeping, and I think they will. So I'm going to roll with Seattle. Close game, though.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm taking the Chargers, but I just do got to say, remember what I said a couple weeks ago? about J.C. Jackson being a system cornerback. Yeah, he's having a terrible season. He's allowing, I think, 119 passer rating this year after going like 4 straight years of like below 80 or 70. I think I saw he got benched last week too. It's not looking good for J.C. Jackson, but give me the Chargers.
Justin, I thought that was really disrespectful what you did right there. I'm not seeing this MVP Justin Herbert. Well, right now, this Chargers team with a defensive-oriented head coach and all this money tied into the best roster on paper has the 25th best defense in football, bottom 7 in the league. His receivers are Mike Williams, who oftentimes is being taken out of the game plan because he's big. You could throw it up to him, but he can be taken out very easily. Just not the type of player. Josh Palmer, and the offensive line is not good due to all their injuries at center and left tackle. He is the MVP here, and he's been one of the best players in all football this year. Without him, the Chargers may be freaking winless. This is a terrible team without him, and he's been able to take them to levels they shouldn't be at right now, just winning games. And when you have a player of this caliber, that's what he's going to do for you.
Okay, you're right. He's most valuable to his team, but he's not the most valuable player in the league. Right now, the Chargers, like I said, the Chargers are just winning games by the skin of their teeth too. They're not lighting the world on fire. And I get you could throw out the defense there, but they have not been impressive. I mean, we were just talking not too long ago about walking the plank on them. They were in that segment for a reason. I mean, and I didn't put them to walk the plank, but because I still believe they can win some football games. But this particular week, I think they've just been lucky winning these games lately. And I think their luck has run out at least this week. I think Seattle's going to win this one.
Mr. Upset over here. You're playing with freaking fire, Jay Ray.
Listen, I think I've picked the most upsets out of all of us. I that's how you win these things too. You got to play the upsets.
Hey, buddy, listen. You forgot to do pick'em last week, so you're way behind.
I know, man. And the thing is, I tried. I was at the airport trying to do my pick'em, and it wasn't going through when I flew in, and I had terrible Wi-Fi on my whole trip. I could not even log into the Yahoo thing, and I was like, yo, I wish they just didn't do pick'em this week, because now I'm like so many games behind.
I'm in second place now.
To be fair, B-Cap and I really struggled to hit on our picks. Only 7 right last week. Very disappointing performance. Certainly my end. I picked the wrong.
Doesn't matter. Second place, baby.
I need to go undefeated this week to bounce back.
You'll be fine. You'll get back because B-Cap's been picking the Panthers still. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers rolling into Hard Rock Stadium at 8:20. And look, we all know they're underdogs. The Steelers are coming off of a great performance. Kenny Pickett was cleared to practice this week, which is very surprising. But on BetStamp, they're only given a 26% chance to win this game. And as +7.7 underdogs, Tua is also coming back for this game. He was cleared last week. Give me Miami. This offense is far too dynamic. And though the Steelers secondary is going to get a bounce back, they're going to get an injection of, starters that are missing a week ago. I don't know how they can really still defend this Miami team without TJ Watt. With TJ, the Steelers win this game. But with no TJ, they're not really going to take advantage, I think, of this Dolphins offensive line that's not been very good. And so I got the Dolphins winning this game. Do they cover? I say no.
Yeah, Tua's coming back. I think last week for the Steelers was a little bit of an aberration. I think the Buccaneers didn't take them seriously at all. Give me the Dolphins. It'll be interesting to see how Tua looks. I think that's going to be a bigger storyline, like how he looks. Is he timid in the pocket? Is he, throwing the ball away or dropping to the ground before he should because he's, a little weary of getting hit again? Listen, I pray for the guy. I don't wish injury on anybody, but we've seen it a lot now. He's very small. He's got a slight frame. I pray for the guy, though. But give me the Dolphins this week. I think they can pull out the W.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take Miami here. I think Tua is going to be riding high. I mean, yeah, I get the questions about what he's going to look like when he gets back, but I think with the influx of talent that they have on offense, that they're going to be just fine. They'll be clicking on all cylinders. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I do think Pittsburgh is going to fight for every tooth and nail. It's not going to be one of those Buffalo shows that they had. So I could see the Steelers covering, but I can see it in a loss.
I do think that Bills game also is an aberration beat Cap, because that's how good the Bills are of a team. They're not, flukes like you may believe. They are truly the best team in football. So that's our entire week, our entire recap.
Monday night.
Oh, whoa.
Are you missing a game?
Oh, yeah.
Patriots, Bears.
Come on. Kick off. Let's go now. What? Come on.
Zappy versus
Lead
Fields, the quarterback matchup for the ages.
No, you know what? I'm taking it. I'm taking over. All right. Listen, we got Monday Night Football coming up. All right. The New England Patriots in Gillette. Don't do it, Justin. God damn it. We got the New England Patriots in Gillette Stadium taking on the Chicago Bears. All right. The Bears. New England favored by 7.5. And guess what? Just came through a report from Mike Rice. I believe that's his name. Patriots reporter for a long time. Sources. Mac Jones expected to be available for Monday night. He's got one final hurdle to be cleared for practice this week. I expect him to play, to be completely honest with you. I think this is a good time to come back. Give me the Patriots. They have been very impressive the last 2 weeks. I don't care what nobody says. You can say, oh, it's just the Lions. Lions were number one scoring offense in the league coming into that week. All right. They can put points up on the board. For that, if you want to, you could say that if they got a field goal or a touchdown. They got held to nothing, 0 points by us. Okay. Last week, we just held the number one rushing offense to less than what? Kareem had 12, Chubb had 56, Matt 68 yards. 68 yards rushing got held to. All right. And that was without Jonathan Jones, our number one cornerback, and Christian Barmore getting injured in the middle of the game. Damian Harris was not playing last week. Nelson Aguilar, even though I'm not that big of a fan, he was not playing last week. Listen, Mac Jones is back. Hopefully he looks good. Hopefully the ankle's okay. And this offense can keep rolling like it was with Zappy. I think it started to get a little spark in there. I don't know if that was Zappy or if Matt Patricia has finally figured out how to run this goddamn offense, use Hunter Henry more, and get these playmakers the ball. I mean, Devontae Parker, he's making big plays. Jonnu Smith had his best game last week with that 52-plus catch and run. Hunter Henry, like I said, is looking good. Devontae Parker making that insane catch.
How about the rookie?
Tyquan Thornton, 2 tubs. Listen, he looks explosive. Let's see if he can get some opportunities. And I do still wish that Kendrick Bourne could get some more opportunities too, because he's a playmaker, like I've always said. Running game's going to be fine. I got the Patriots winning this game, and I think they're going to be able to cover the 7.5 points, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Bears are going to have a tough time scoring on this team. Very tough time.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to cover too. I think Bill Belichick loves to bully young quarterbacks, and Justin Fields is the perfect one to be bullied next. So I could see the Patriots winning this one. Zappy has been pretty impressive since he took over the starting job, since he walked into Lambeau. I mean, the guy's had an immense amount of pressure on him from that very game, and he's delivered. He's delivered for the Patriots. I mean, Mac is coming back. I hope there's no stupid QB controversy, because Mac is the guy. Although there were reports that Mac had a little bit of a little spat with them, with him coming back, whether it be with surgery or not. And why is Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator? I don't know if you guys saw that, but I read it the other day. He's a big why guy, apparently. So I don't know if that's all just false rumors or not, but regardless, going into this week, I think the Patriots beat the Bears. They got another one against the Jets coming up. This will be the perfect time for them to get rolling. I remember telling Brandon, I don't see the 12 wins that you came up with. It was tough for me to see it, but they're playing good football right now. So I'm with you. I'm going to be a little bit more confident when I talk about the Patriots. I think
see it now.
And I
think they're going to win this game.
And by the way, Ramondre Stevenson, absolute monster. He is a monster. The Patriots know how to pick him.
Yeah, maybe don't take a running back in the first round like the Steelers.
Guess what? So, we're sweeping the Jets.
Yeah, we'll say about that. But I got the Patriots winning this one by 2 scores. Real quick, do we have enough time to give it a little NBA award predictions for 2022? We'll save our playoff predictions for 2023 for next episode.
You want to just do the awards?
Yeah, let's just do the awards, man. So you want me to start off?
Yeah, you want to start off with the most important award, or you want to work our way to the most important award?
Work our way to it.
I would
Work
like
our way.
to work
Coach
my
of the year
way.
first.
So honestly, I think most improved player, but yeah, we'll rock a coach of the year.
All right.
There's a lot of candidates this year for coach of the year. Chris Finch, Taylor Jenkins, guys that typically overachieve. The pick for me is Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He has a tough task this year, balancing out Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. But I do think after getting a 7-point victory over Oklahoma City last night, we're going to see this team improve as the year goes on. They're my pick to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. That's my squad.
I'm going with a team that played last night and freaking bullied the Brooklyn Nets. I'm picking Willie Green and the New Orleans Pelicans. Spoiler alert, I think they're going to be a top 5 team in the West next year, possibly top 4. But yeah, I think Willie Green, I think the Pelicans look real good. I mean, the big surprise was how good their defense looked, especially against the Kyrie and KD. I know KD started getting it going towards the second quarter. Kyrie struggled all game though. But yeah, I'm taking Willie Green and the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they're gonna have a big year.
Yeah, no, actually, I had that same exact pick with Willie Green. I just saw it on First Take. I have the TV on right here next to me. They were debating whether to be more encouraged about the Pelicans or discouraged about the Nets. And I think last night was just more so that the Pelicans are a super talented team. And when they're all healthy and they piece it all together, that they're going to compete in this conference. So, yeah, I'm with you. Willie Green is going to lead this team.
One thing I do got to say, I love Zion's mentality. I freaking love it. I mean, after almost every play that he scored or whatever, this guy was smiling, laughing, talking to himself. After every foul, he was like, talking to himself, basically being like, yeah, man, that's some beer. Like, that's not, these guys are soft, man, bro. I just love the mentality he brings. He was basically laughing at Ben Simmons all night. And that's just, Zion's a bully, man. He really is. And he was stealing rebounds from Valanciunas all freaking night. He was like, nah, Valanciunas, this is my boys.
It's time we start to realize who Ben Simmons is. Last night was very, very ugly. All of his shots are lobs and did not have any aggressiveness as a scorer that you're going to need if this guy is your X factor as a team. Okay, so next up, most improved player. A lot of very big candidates going to year 3. Last year, John Morant won the award. In the discussion were guys like Jordan Poole and Tyrese Maxey. I think this year, Tyrese Halliburton becomes that guy. In Indiana, given the full keys on a very talented offense, he is going to thrive playing off of Bennett Mathurin. Typically, we see these guys like Julius Randle be a top 4 seed. I do think Tyrese is the outlier.
I hope I'm not stealing your thunder again, Justin, but I'm going Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man. Made a big jump from year 1 to year 2. And I think he makes a bigger jump this year. I think he's going to average at least 24 to 25 points a game. Hopefully that 3-point percentage can get up to like maybe 37 to 38%. Free throw percentage, hopefully he can get up to at least 80. But he's a freak of nature. Give me Anthony Edwards. I think he's going to start showing that he's one of the future guys in this league.
For me, I've said it before in the show, and it might be crazy to you guys. This guy's name doesn't ring the same way Halliburton or Ant-Man will. And John knows exactly where I'm going with this. I'm bringing it home to New York. I'm going with Obi Toppin. Yes, I am. And John laughs because I don't know if he's like, this guy's freaking nuts, or if this guy might be a mad genius. Bless you.
Thank you.
But for me, I really believe in Obi. I think with minutes, the sky is the limit for this guy. And now it's just about finding those minutes. And I think he will. I think he's so explosive that the Knicks offense eventually is going to rely on this guy to bring that spark off the bench. And maybe even eventually, if when Randall's out of the picture, he'll be a starter and slide in. But even on the bench, this is the exact guy that's going to bring that spark that you need. I think Obi is going to have a big year this year.
You want to know who I really like off the Knicks bench? Isaiah Hartenstein. He was the best move by the team this summer. 40 minutes last night, 16 points, huge rebounds, passing. That guy's good.
One thing I got to say about the New York Knicks. Yeah, I was 100% right about my take on RJ Barrett still being a selfish player. If you watched last night, yep, it's still true.
I wouldn't say selfish player. I think it was just ugly.
No, he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the guy.
He had a lot of good looks, Brandon.
No, that one late in the game where he took the three, he freaking pump faked, and then he took an even more contested three. Listen, he just wants to be the guy, and that's fine. You want to be the guy, but you got to make the plays then. And Jalen Brunson, that guy was missing open shots late in the game. Bad.
Listen, RJ's the one that sold us that game. We should have won that game. Had RJ made a couple more shots, like I said, he had a couple easy looks. He didn't knock them down. You got to be more efficient. That was the concern going into the year. But again, that was game one. It's game one. Be patient. The guy's younger than me. And I'm 24. So give the guy some time. Don't start rushing the process here. Don't be your casual Knicks judger. Just take your time with it and actually watch the games, and you can see the potential. I digress.
Defensive Player of the Year. Last year, for the first time in 20 plus years, beginning guard to win the award. And Marcus Smart. Other finalists were Mikal Bridges and Rudy Gobert. Let me tell y'all, Rudy Gobert is winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. And this is a regular season award. I know a lot of NBA fans don't care and they don't like to hear that. But the fact of the matter is, no player brings more value to his team on that side of the ball than Rudy. And his task now playing with Cat in Minnesota is predicated on being the exact player he was in Utah with better supports. And I think he does thrive in his age 30 season.
I'm going to go. There's a couple candidates I wrote down. Giannis, obviously, he's like always a contender in there. Triple J, I think, has a good shot if he comes back and looks healthy. But I'm going to roll with my boy, my guy, Bam Adebayo. I know he's not going to blow you away with like the stats, like the steals aren't going to be insanely high, the blocks aren't going to be insanely high, but this guy can go 1 through 5 and an elite level. And he's a great rebounder too. So give me Bam Adebayo. I hope he gets his love. And he's got to play better than he did last night. He didn't play very well at all, but give me Bam Adebayo.
I think the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year adds a fourth to his trophy case. I think it's Rudy Gobert. I think the Timberwolves are a much better team now that he's in the fold. Wait till we see Cat out there healthy. I think the Timberwolves are going to thrive with him at the 5. So I'm going to roll with Rudy.
Absolutely. Brings sustainability to a defense last year that massively overachieved given their personnel. 6th man of the year. I kind of should have had this done earlier, could have gone from bottom to top. But the biggest candidates this year, Malcolm Brogdon, Norman Powell, Christian Wood, all new settings with Tyler Hero. He started the other night, and Jordan Poole. I do think Hero this year starts half the season, and that is the criteria for this. If you start over half, you're not eligible. My pick, it's easy. It's Jordan Poole. I think he's going to average 20 a game off the bench and do a little bit more than what Hero did on a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. And Poole is so overqualified for his role, bro. Averaged 27 a game last year at that staff.
I wrote 2 guys down. I think either one can win it. So I can't really make a confirmed pick, but Malcolm Brogdon and Jordan Poole, I think, are the main 2 guys for me. I think Jordan Poole has a real good shot to average 20 points a game this year. Malcolm Brogdon running that second unit. I think he's going to be a real big factor. Although I think Brogdon, maybe mid-season, if they start to struggle with the playmaking and, setting sets up and all that stuff in the first unit, I think he could find himself into the starters. But those are my 2 guys, Malcolm Brogdon and Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I think my number 1 guy would be Malcolm Brogdon. Even though, like you said, I could see him squeezing his way into the starting rotation. 24 minutes for a guy of that caliber is not nearly enough. That guy can bring any spark to this team. The second he got traded to this squad, we all had Boston finishing number 1 in the East. And so there's a reason why this guy's going to bring an instant impact, and we saw that just opening night. So, yeah, I'm going to roll with Malcolm Brogdon.
I am surprised the one name that wasn't mentioned was Christian Wood in Dallas. The only thing that's going to hold Brogdon back is health. Played 36 games last year and 56 the year before. C-Man had 16 points straight last night, ripped off in the second half. He has so much opportunity in Dallas and is in a great situation given the personnel around him. Christian Wood is my runner-up for the award easily. Now, we've covered Most Improved, Coach of the Year, 6-man, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA Rookie of the Year, My pick is Paulo Banchero. Last night became the first rookie since LeBron James to drop 25, 5 and 5. This kid is going to be a superstar.
I echo your sentiments. I think Paulo Banchero is going to be the rookie of the year this year. He looked really good last night. 27 points, 9 rebounds, and like John said, 5 assists. He's looking really good. So, yeah, give me Paulo.
I think.
Although, Justin, sorry.
Yeah.
I do have to mention, I love that Bol is finally getting minutes in non-blowout games. I love it. Talk Victor Wembanyama all you want. Bol is that. If he can stay healthy, yes, John, he can handle the ball. He can shoot the three. Listen, I'm just saying, I love that Bol is getting his minutes. I love it. But go ahead, Justin.
I'm with you guys. It's a clean sweep on Paolo. I mean, first game in the NBA, and you do just that. Almost squeezing out a win there against the up-and-coming Pistons. I think that was an impressive debut, and I think we're just going to see that more and more from this young Magic team led by him in the future.
And to pay respect to this draft class, it is insane. The new NBA pipeline of talent is nonstop. 2018 had Luka, Trey, SGA. 2019, Ja, Zion, Jordan Poole. 2020, Ant-Man, LaMelo, Tyrese Maxey. 2021, Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, so many other guys. 2022 is a fifth straight year of just a loaded draft class. You talk about Paulo, you yet to mention Chet Holmgren won't play this year. Jabari Smith made his debut, looked really good for a 19-year-old, basically a kid. Jalen Duren is a kid. He's 18 years old and looks like a grown man. But I have to shout out Bennedict Mathurin, the Pacers, and Jaden Ivey of the Pistons. Ivey's acceleration is like a Tesla on the highway. I keep saying it. And Mathurin is an absolute bucket with insane athleticism, can shoot the three ball very well. Now, we've talked about all 5 of those awards. The last of the 6, fellas, is most valuable player. Nikola Jokic won back-to-back years. Before that, it was Giannis Antetokounmpo. My pick was Joel Embiid, but he looked defensively not himself the other night. I'm sticking with Joel. I think he's going to have 27 plus points per game, 12 rebounds, and PJ Tucker boxing. That's going to help him get more rebounds in my eyes, much like he did with Bam last year. Defensively, though, his effort and activity was very low. I'm worried Joel, 28 years old, carried an insane load the last 4 years because of the limitations of his supporting cast. He's a player with an extensive injury history at 7'1", 275 pounds. We may have seen the best days of Joel Embiid. Now, don't take it for granted. The dude's still going to be an All-NBA player. But when I watched him against the Celtics, I said, they need him to be everything. I'm not sure if he can be all that.
Yeah. For me, I wrote 4 names down. Jokic, Giannis, obviously, right? But the 2 that I'm going to really focus on are Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. I think Steph Curry because, spoiler alert, I have the Golden State Warriors being the number 1 team in the West this year. And I think he's going to ball out. And then for Luka, it just goes without saying. I mean, he's the offense. It runs through him. He does everything. He averages 28, 9 and 9, basically. I could see him getting it if the seeding goes their way, but right now I don't really have them that high. But that's just because the West is absolutely stacked. But between them two, it's a hard pick, but I would probably, since I have Golden State coming out as the number 1 seed, I think Steph Curry goes home, or not goes home, but walks away at the end of the season with his 3rd regular season MVP.
This one was tough. This one was very tough to pick. There's so many talented players in this league, so many young and upcoming players that can steal this award. So I wrote 2 names down. I don't know which one of the 2, but I definitely believe that either one of them can steal this one. I had Ja Morant, who bullied my Knicks last night, and Jason Tatum. I'm a big believer in the 2 of those players. Ja Morant, 34 points, 4 boards, 9 assists last night. Jason Tatum on opening night, 35 points, 12 boards, and 4 assists. I think both of those players have the skill set to lead their team to not only championships in the near future, but many, many MVPs combined probably. So Jason Tatum led his team to the NBA Finals just last season. I can see him doing it again. I do have Boston finishing number 1 in the Eastern Conference, so I'm gonna roll with. I'm gonna lean more towards Jason Tatum than I am gonna do with Ja Morant.
We had a question in the offseason. Is Tatum a superstar? The answer? Hell yeah. He's 24 years old. And right now, the Celtics are the best duo in the NBA, at least in the Eastern Conference, because I'm not going to disrespect Steph and Draymond, or whoever you want to pick in Golden State. If you're going to stack them up to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, let's take into account who's actually on your television screens. And I think with him playing 76 games last year and last night, or 2 nights ago, 39 minutes, Tatum brings the durability that you look for in a franchise player. Him and Jaylen Brown are insane, so I love that pick by you. With all that being said, that's going to wrap off episode number 39 of the Wise Guys podcast. Thank you so much for sticking and listening. We're talking a lot more about the NBA with the season starting, of course. While you're at it, be sure to download the BetStamp app and use our referral code at WiseGuys, WISEGUYS. And as always,
stay classy.